Hello and welcome to another episode of the Running Tales podcast. My name's Craig, and today we'll be telling another extraordinary story from the world of running. But just quickly before I introduce this week's guest, please remember to like, subscribe, and basically tell everybody you know about Running Tales. We really want to be able to share these incredible stories and people's amazing achievements as far as we can, but obviously we need your help to do that. So please, as I say, like and subscribe. You can also find Running Tales on our website, runningtales.co.uk, and on Substack, where our latest articles include the story of Instagrammer and runner Andre Cardin, who went from overweight and depressed to running the New York Marathon. So check that out. Anyway, enough of all that housekeeping and plugging. Let's introduce today's guest, Trina Dawkins. And Trina is an experienced runner. She's conquered distances, including ultra marathons, but she's also a campaigner and champion for women's running. And that includes being a member of She Runs Free, which aims to improve safety, security, and community for female runners across the UK. So, Trina, hi, and welcome to the Running Tales podcast.
Hi, Craig. Thank you so much for having me.
No, you are welcome. And I wanted to maybe start on what I was talking about at the end there about She Runs Free and so on, because I know that you've just completed a a pretty major event on that front as well. You ran is it pronounced the Kielder Marathon or the Kielder Marathon? I'm not sure.
Yeah, Kielder
Kielder.
Marathon.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's actually the very first time I heard about it was actually this year when I joined the team. I'd never heard of it, but it's supposed to be Britain's most beautiful marathon, and I understand why now.
Yeah, it lived up to expectations.
It absolutely did. It
Oh,
did.
that's fantastic. And um, I mean, a marathon's a marathon. If it's the most beautiful one ever, that's a bonus. But I think the real reason behind this was obviously running for She Runs Free and running to raise a bit of awareness about, I suppose, what women's running is like, what running is like for women, and how we can, I suppose, improve running for women. So I don't know if you just first of all want to explain about She Runs Free and how you became involved with it.
Oh, definitely. So She Runs Free is in partnership with Kielder Marathon, and then you've got Altra, the brand, and then you've got Boldly. So Boldly is was founded by two ladies, so Natasha and Steph, and it was all surrounding an incident that happened to one of them around being safe outside, and it was a conversation that I'd had with many women, and it just seemed to be a common topic. So they founded this brand called Boldly. So yeah, so She Run Free was a combination of all three together, and it was just about bringing a group of women together to talk about women's safety, share their experiences, and then see what we can do as a collective to promote and share our stories and also encourage and support other people out there as well. And because the more you hear about something, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, it shows that it's happening to other people as well. And bringing people together to kind of talk about safety and what we can do to support and encourage each other and ultimately run the marathon. But you had a choice of the half marathon or the full marathon, depending on your fitness level.
Yeah. Um, and I know it's probably sounds like a bit of a trite question, but for those people who, oh, I don't know, some people out there might deny it happens. Other people maybe somehow have had their head in the sand and just don't know what we're talking about. But when you're talking about women's running and safety for women when they're running, what do you sort of practically mean?
So, for example, so when women are out there running, so catcalling, a bit of harassment, and sometimes it's all in jest, but you don't know how if that's happened to that person in the past, and it's often just causing fear in somebody. So whether they're out running on their own, it could put them off running ever again.
Yeah.
And sometimes it could be a group of women, and that could also put them off as well. But yeah, it's a form of harassment which for some people they might just think, oh, I'm just calling out in jest, in fun with other group of men. But often, depending on how that person experience has been in the past, it can affect whether they actually ever go out for a run again or feel safe when they're out running.
Yeah. And it's interesting you talk about that, and I use this phrase for want of a better one, but that kind of inverted commas low level harassment rather than the instance that we sometimes hear about
Mm,
that, women sadly have
yeah.
been killed, have been seriously injured, etc., etc., when out running. And obviously, those things, I don't want to belittle them or not talk about them. But touch wood, for most women, that's not going to happen to them. But this sort of low level stuff is going to be there and is going to have a real impact potentially every day.
Absolutely. And I feel sometimes it might start as those low level, and then ultimately it could end up in the death of a female runner, or in the death of a runner just out there going out for a run. And
Mm.
we feel that it's just about educating everybody, because often the onus is put on women to wear a certain type of clothing, do this, don't run at night, don't do that. But it's just like, we just want to go out for a run, just as
Yeah.
everybody else does. So we need to educate everybody. And we're talking about from primary level. So the younger, the better. And it's not just about educating them, but if you see your friend doing it, what should you do
Mm.
as well? So yeah, it's just about education, I think.
Yeah. And in terms of, well, again, I kind of asked this question at the risk of the answer being, well, it's not up to women to make that decision and make that change. But what is the message from She Runs Free, from yourself, I suppose, as well, as to what, if anything, the answers to this should be?
I think for us, we will always do everything to keep ourselves safe. So obviously, for example, when you're out running at night, you would have your head torch on. When I'm running, I always run in the opposite direction in terms of the way the traffic is coming. So I'm running towards the traffic, obviously on the pavement. I run on well-lit street. I'll run with a friend, because sometimes I run like 5 o'clock in the morning or 4:30 in the morning to get it done.
Yeah.
So we will always do everything possible to keep ourselves safe. But what else can we do to stop people actually harassing us or causing fear in us? That's something that's out of your control. We can only control the controllables. So
Mm.
it's about other people not um, making us afraid of being outside.
Yeah. And what would you kind of say to those generally men who might turn around and say, well, if you're running at 4 or 5 in the morning, or if you're wearing short shorts, or you're running through this particular area, well, you're sort of, what did you expect to happen sort of attitude?
I would say I have every right to be out there as much as you. And also think about it. What if that was your mother out there running, or your sister, or your daughter, or your
Mm.
auntie? Would you actually say the same thing to them? Wouldn't you want them to feel safe as well? So I think if you throw it back into perspective of, if you was a family member or someone really close to you, would you want them to feel this way? Would you want them to be attacked? And yeah, we all have a right to be safe and be able to go out and do what we want to do in a safe way. So why not?
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing I sometimes hear on social media boards and so on, and actually when we did a special 2 or 3 years ago on women's safety when running, and
Mhm.
I had certainly one or two men come back and say, well, you know, why are you still talking about this? This was a problem, but it's not a problem anymore. It very much is still a problem, isn't it?
It very much is. I mean, like, when was the last time they watched the news or spoke to somebody they know, or go to a running club and speak to people? Because I think it's about listening to others. If they were to listen and ask questions, then they would know that actually it's still happening.
Yeah.
And it's happening even more so that people are actually being put off. And I know there's a lot of campaign nationwide um, about this, but for how long do we have to keep doing this? Is it every winter we have to have an event like light up the street, light up the night, own the night? Do we have to keep doing that every single year, every single winter, to
Mm.
remind people to just allow women to run safely? And it's not just about women, I think it's for everybody.
Yeah.
Because although we're talking about women now, everybody should feel safe when they're out there running. Because I know I've heard of occasions where it's happened to men as well. Men don't feel safe out there running as well. So we should just be able to go outside and be safe. And it's not just at night also. It can be any time of day as well.
Yeah. I wonder if, like, from some point of view, sometimes the reason people start to think it doesn't happen anymore is a kind of a media thing. I know we sort of talked about this
Mhm.
previous to the podcast about somebody gets killed or something serious happens, and quite rightly, the papers and the BBC and et cetera, are all over it for 2 or 3 weeks, and then maybe again when the trial happens. But until the next incident, everything goes quiet on a kind of large scale level. Nobody talks about it. Obviously, there are these campaigns
Yeah.
continuing, but I think it's like until something horrible happens, we kind of go, oh, it's okay. Everyone will be okay.
Yeah, really. I mean, like, and I mean, like, I try not to watch the news, although I probably read more news than I watch it, because I always often think like news is always bad news whenever you hear anything out there. And you are right. And I think it's only when something bad happens that we hear about it. But I feel like local authorities, our local borough, every borough should be doing something. And I know there are certain boroughs already doing some work out there in terms of the lighting. Obviously, you've got like the community safety officers, they're doing lots of workshops, promoting activities and stuff like that. But I feel like every local authority should be doing something, and it shouldn't be just like in the winter or once. It should be something that's all year round,
Yeah.
to the point where also is in schools as well. I don't know, is it part of the national curriculum? Like, obviously, we talk about empathy and kindness and all of that stuff, but how do we bring this into school as well? Because children will hear people catcalling, or children may witness things like this happening in the street as well. So, how do we teach children how to react, or if they should speak out if they hear something like this happening as well?
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? No baby is born
Right,
catcalling
exactly.
or being abusive in any way. So this behavior is being learned
Learned, isn't it?
somewhere. And if we can get a different message out into children's minds when they're still very malleable, then I think that's going to make a huge difference, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I think the other thing is often these conversations happen, it's always women in the room. It could often be just women on the panel. Rare occasion there are men on the panel, because obviously when we had the panel at Kielder Marathon, um, we had a man on the panel. But often the room is always full of women, and it's just like it can't just be women talking to other women. Can we
You
bring the
already know.
men? Right. Can we bring the men into the room, into the conversations? They need to hear the stories, would like to hear their views. Maybe they might have some opinions that can help to promote the work as well. They might have some ideas that can help to grow the work as well. So we need them in the room as well.
Yeah, and if there are any men listening to this who are thinking, well, how can I help? How can I be an ally? What should they kind of do? I mean, can they get involved with something like She Runs Free as well?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, they can get in contact with Altra, they can get in contact with Boldly Runs. There is, I did a course with Susie Lamplugh Trust. It's called Active Bystander Training. And
Right.
that's an online training. It's for 30 minutes and it's free to everybody and anybody. And it just gives you the tools and the strategies to use if you see things happening. So, as a
Mm.
bystander, what can you do to help the person it's happening to? And so, whether that's during the incident or after the incident as well. So, I think being an active bystander where you can help as well is a really useful skill and tool to have.
Yeah, and I think the other kind of side of this as well is away from maybe the safety and the abuse is I guess those learned behaviors that are maybe a bit more subconscious or
Mm.
historic, and that comes sometimes that comes down to the way that races are
Mhm.
held. And I don't know, you suddenly got you see huge queues as simple as huge queues for the
Right.
women's toilets and the men
Yeah.
just walking in and out. And I
Mhm.
know that sort of happens everywhere in society, but it just looks so ridiculous at a race. Or, I don't know how many of those things you sort of have to contend with when you're racing.
Yeah, often. I mean, I know a lot of race organizers are now having like unisex toilets, which is
Yeah,
helpful. But I mean, I've got to say, I have used the men's toilets before when they've got proper toilets, not just urinals, because if there's
yeah,
a closed door, I'm just going to use it. I mean, I'm not going to queue up when there's 50 people in the queue. So I
yeah,
think it makes sense to have like the gender neutral one, but obviously some women will still prefer to have just like a women's toilet, and some men I'm sure also prefer just to have like gents toilets as well. But
mm.
there are a lot of differences. I'm one of those people who, yeah, I mean, if I need to go, I need to go. So I don't mind. So there's certain
Really, you're
things.
you're 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 an ultra runner. There's probably big
Right,
fields along the way
exactly.
and stuff.
Exactly. So when you need to go, you need to go.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that don't bother me. so much, but
Mm.
something like this is close to my heart, and I think it's just about educating people, but also obviously we have a lot of running clubs and running communities as well. I
Yeah.
feel like if you do hear or see things happening, I know it may it may be difficult to approach a person and say, oh, you shouldn't have done that, you shouldn't have done this, but if running crew leaders could do some work with their group as a whole as well, I
Mm.
think that could bring the community together as well. So rather than just targeting someone and saying you shouldn't have done this, if you're delivering workshops or having talks about it in an open space, on a space, then I think people will find it easier to report things
Yeah.
or easier to speak to somebody and say, oh, this happened to me, I don't know what to do, or kind of ask for help as well. But I think there's a lot of opportunity for running groups and running clubs to come together and do some work around this as well. I haven't heard of any of it happening so far, but I think it will be a good space because there's so many running clubs in London and around the country as well.
Yeah.
So I think it would be a good opportunity to do some work.
Yeah, I think that'd be really interesting. I mean, thinking about like the someone coming along and just having a talk to the club and
Mm.
getting these proper procedures in place. I wonder if sometimes, and I don't mean this as to be terrible about run leaders or running coaches or so on, but not so much coaches. I suppose they probably had proper training, but you form a
Mm.
run group because you want to go out and run, and then suddenly you have all this, I don't know, safeguarding, or you have to
Yeah,
worry about this and that and the other, and someone's complaining about this, and one complaint's really serious, and the next complaint is trivial, and you've just got to deal with a whole lot. And I
yeah.
think there must sometimes be um, you know, a temptation to go, let's just go and run, and I'm not going to worry about that. And but actually, at the end of the day, it's not really going to work because, like you were talking about earlier, it's going to end up discouraging people from running.
Oh, absolutely. And I understand why people start running groups and running clubs, but if it's been labeled as a community event for everybody, then you have to have it that you want to make sure everybody feels safe. So like that safeguarding element. And I know we all want to go for a run, but obviously as the club grows bigger, you will need other people to kind of have like support crews and all of that stuff. But so it's not just then it becomes more than running.
Yeah,
I think then you're in a sense, and I know they quote unquote in the small print say you're kind of responsible for your own safety and all of that stuff. But I don't know, I can't imagine going out for a run with 20 people and thinking, oh my God, if something happens to them, they're responsible for their own safety. Or
mm,
so I feel like there's lots of work that can be done. But and I know lots of people are trying to govern community run groups and more around safeguarding and reporting things that's not going well and stuff like that. But yeah, that's why I don't know. I just couldn't have a running group because it's a lot of responsibility and I will take it. Obviously, I work in education, so I will see everybody as I am responsible for each and every one of you if anything ever happens. And I would want you to come and
yeah.
speak to me if anything ever goes wrong or you're not happy about something. So I think I'll probably take on more than I thought I would as a running crew leader. So it's a big responsibility.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Michelle and I, as I've sort of mentioned on this podcast previously, we have our own little running group, but
Mm.
it is very little, and it's basically made up of all our friends, and we sort of know
Yeah,
everybody. And then, fortunately, touch wood, everybody who's come and joined it have been fantastic people as well. So
that's
we've
good.
we've not had, again, touch wood, any real issues
Mm.
to date. But I think when you're dealing with running groups which are 100, 200, 400, who knows how many people, it's, there's always going to be somebody who's you know, potentially going to cause some trouble within that, and it must be really hard to have to deal with that. So I don't envy people, but then I suppose if you're going to have a 400 person running group, you've got to have the things in place to deal with that.
Absolutely.
Um, I wonder if that kind of brings me to the next thing I was going to ask you about in a way, which is where do you stand on women's only running groups and clubs?
Um, I think there's a space for everybody, and I know in certain cultures they would like women will prefer just to be in a group full of women, just as you do have like girl schools,
Yeah,
girl guides. So there is a space for it, and whatever it is, if there's a need for it, then yeah, most definitely,
yeah.
most
I think it's an interesting one. I mean, far from me to make any decisions on it or anything like that, really. But I kind of think it's one of those things where it's probably needed, and it
Mm,
makes women feel
yeah,
safe and able to go out and run, and that's a good
right.
thing. I'd like to live in a world where it wasn't required, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. But we're not necessarily well, we're definitely not there yet. So
Yeah,
yeah,
no, definitely. And I'm sure a lot of women may join a women only running group. And then as they grow in confidence, they
yeah,
may kind of explore other groups, whereas some women will just want to stay in a women only running group. But like I was saying, if there's a need for it, then
yeah.
yeah, then it's a great idea. But yeah, I'm happy to rock and roll with any
Well,
with any
it's one,
group.
at the end of the day, it's one of those things that sort of
Yeah.
it can become a thing, and it's like, well, it literally does no harm whatsoever.
Right, exactly. And I know there will always be people who will have something to say about it, but I
Mm,
think that's just with everything. People will always have like their positive and negatives to say about everything in the world. So I think if people just want to do something, just do it as long as you're not hurting anybody. And it's
yeah,
for the good and it's for a good cause as well.
definitely. Yeah. Um, just to rewind a little bit and talk maybe a bit about your own running and your own running career.
Hmm.
Have you always been a runner? Is it something you did at school, or did you come to it a bit later on in?
Yeah, so I've always enjoyed sports. So in school, I was one of those ones that did like GCSE PE. The only one thing I did every sport apart from rugby and swimming. And I wish I did swimming because I had a swimming pool in my secondary
But
school.
not rugby.
No, I couldn't. Any contact sport, I'm one of those people that,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll just get scared I'm gonna break something. But yeah, so I did track. It was always long distance. So I did 800 and 1500, and I did javelin. And then I also used to do weightlifting as well. So I represent Tower Hamlets,
Oh
which is
well.
the borough that I
Yeah.
lived in weightlifting. So I did that for a few years until I started college. Yeah, and then yeah, once I started college and went to uni, it kind of just dropped off. Sports just became like non-existent. It did everything else, studies and then parties. And then I didn't pick running back up until around 2015. So I used to do kind of like race for life, like the 5K, the
Yeah.
10K, and
Yeah.
raise money for the cancer charities and stuff. And in 2018, I joined a running club, Adidas Runners, and it just kind of took off from there. And then I just, 1 minute you're running 5K because you're running with a group. Oh yeah, you can do 10K, and then before you know, you've done a half marathon, and then you've done. So I did my first marathon. It was Brighton Marathon, 2019. Took me forever. I cried the last 6 miles, but it was just like you're going to finish it because I was raising money for MenCap
Yeah.
and which is a disability charity. And so my mind was just like, all these people sponsored you, you just need to finish it. And finished it. And I was like, I'll never do another marathon again. Then I signed up for another one 6 months
Yeah.
later because I'm just like, I know I can do it quicker than that.
Yeah.
And then it's just picked up from there. 2020, I started doing trails. And yeah, I've just loved trails ever since. And it's just gone, yeah, just ultra running and yeah, just keep running further and further and further.
Yeah. What is it about the trails? Because I love trails, so I think I know the answer to this question. But I know that like somebody, we have a chat group, and someone put a picture of an upcoming run, which is extremely dirty on trails, and they were like, "Why
Hmm.
on earth would anyone want to do this?" I said, "I love that race, but for those people who are in the why on earth would anybody want to do this camp, what would you say to them?"
You know what? The thing about the trails is it's not about the pace. I don't have to look at my watch. I don't have to try and catch the person in front of me unless I'm running cross country. I do cross country as well.
Yeah.
That's the only time I chase on the trails. But apart from that, I just like it's just being out, the calm, the peace, the birds, the trees. I don't like mud, but I put up with mud with trails. I'm one of those people, as soon as I get in, I need to clean my shoes. So every time you see my shoes, it always looks new, but it's not new. But I
So
just
do
love.
you sorry, I was just gonna say, so when you're out on the trails, do you have this moment where you come up to that big pile of mud or a puddle? Are you a creep around the outside, or in the moment you just
Yeah,
go through?
until I get really tired. If I'm in a long race and I'm tired by then and I could just barely lift up my feet, then I'll just go through it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll just deal with it later. Wet
Yeah.
feet. And one of those people with I always pack lots of socks as well.
Yeah.
So I just continuously just change my socks if it's a very muddy race. But yeah, I just love the tranquil of the trails and it's just no pressure, no time, just enjoy being outside. And a lot of the time I'll do races on my own, but I'll talk to 100 people along the way. So
Yeah.
like for like a few kilometers, I'll speak to this person, the next person. You just keep speaking to people, and that's another thing about the trails. You can't do that if you're running a half marathon on the road. You're not going to be having those conversations with so many people. But on the
Mm.
trails, you just meet nice and wonderful people you probably never see again, but you have like the most interesting conversations with them.
Yeah. And does that kind of increase the further you go?
I think so because obviously my first ultra was a 50K because I was training for 100. So the furthest I've run is 100K. I did race to the stones.
Yeah.
And I've done a couple of 50Ks and a couple of 70Ks. I haven't done a 100K again, but I would like to do a 100 miler
Yeah.
next year. But I've got two I've got two ultras coming up, and I said once I've done the one in January, I'll decide if I'm going to do that ultra in May or
Yeah.
not. So I'll see how I
Are
feel.
you doing country to capital again?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the 10th of January, I signed up for it.
Yeah. I've not done it, but I have actually sort of gone and watched people do it in a
Yeah.
some
So
a
that'll be
P-
my
I
third
think I did.
time doing
It's
it.
a
I
pretty
do enjoy
race.
it.
Yeah.
I do enjoy it. And it finishes not far from home as well. So I mean you're in Paddington, it's just like the Jubilee, the Elizabeth line, 5 stops and I'm home. So it's
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. What would you say to anybody who's not sure that they want to take that jump from road to trails and then ultras?
I'll always say for me, it's all about getting to the start line. Like, don't think about getting to the end. And even when I'm running, even when I like today's run, it's always like 1 mile at a time. I never
Mm.
think, oh my gosh, I need to finish 50K or I need to finish 20K. It's literally like get to the next mile. It's just each mile that you tick off is an accomplishment. And
Yeah.
actually making it to the start line injury free, I mean, like, that's what more can you ask for? So I would just say just give it a go. Even if you
Yeah.
don't like mud, honestly, I do not like mud. Um, but yeah, give it a go. The trails
Yeah.
is it's so hard to sorry to cut you off. It's so
That's good.
hard because a lot of people who never ran trails always used to say to me, "Oh my gosh, why do you love the trails so much?" And once they've done it, they're like, "Oh, now I understand." You
Yeah.
literally have to try it to understand the difference between the road and then just compare how you feel and you understand why. A lot of people do enjoy the trails.
Yeah, exactly that. For me, it was a bit like that. I did a lot of road running. I was never that much into it, but when I started doing the trails, that was when running became special. And I
Yeah.
suppose it's like the difference between you can go for a walk around your estate, and that
Hmm.
might be okay. If you go for a walk through the woods, it's so much better. So
So much better. And the fact that you can't see cars, you can't hear cars,
yeah.
you might not even see anybody.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's literally just you. You turn around and like there's literally nobody around. And it's just like, yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I do love the trails.
So is the 100 miler booked and ready to go? Do you have an idea which event you're
It's,
going to do?
yes, so it's Pegasus Ultra Running. So it's Epona. So
Okay.
100 miles is in May. So I haven't booked it yet, but I said after country to capital, I'll see how I feel
Yeah.
and then I'll book it. So that's the plan. And
Yeah.
I'm not even thinking 100 miles. I'm thinking get to the start line and then when you get there, whatever you can do is an achievement.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've spoken to some people who sort of take on these 100 milers, and they'll sort of say, "Oh, yeah, I DNF'd," which this sort of I inverted commas failed. It's like I ran 70 miles. It's like how on earth is running 70 miles a failure of any kind?
Right, exactly. Because like, yeah, definitely like at the DNF, you just like it's not a failure. I mean, you
Yeah,
getting there and traveling that far, like you've already, yeah, it's a big achievement. So whatever I can do out there, and yeah, I'll just give it a go.
Hmm. Do you have any sort of different training plans in mind, or any way you're going to change up what you're doing?
Um, Definitely more back to back running. And probably because at the moment I've just only run 3 days a week. Um, and I've been cycling because I was injured in August, calf injury, so it meant I couldn't run a lot. I started indoor cycling, and I've
Yeah.
kind of become addicted to that now. So I cycle like 3 times a week, and I run 3 times a week, and I do my strength 3 times a week. I know the math doesn't add up because it sounds like 9 days, uh, but But when I cycle, I do my hour and a half cycling, then I do like my strength workout as well. So
Yeah.
rather than doing so much running, I switch into cycling instead, just to less impact on my knees as well. But I feel like if I'm going to be training for the 100 mile, I might need to do maybe 4 to 5 days of running
Mm,
instead,
yeah.
because obviously I'll be on my feet for much longer time. But yeah, it's going to be interesting.
The whole training thing is really interesting anyway. I mean, I'm certainly no expert on any of it, and I tend to make it up a little bit as I go along. But
Same.
I was speaking to somebody the other day who was talking about um, a friend of theirs who'd done like a sub 3.5 hour marathon, but
Mm,
they'd done it on 3 days of running training,
mm.
and no more than that. And at first, that just seems like that's just not enough. But
Right?
clearly, with the extra bit of strength training and everything else, it's plenty, and you can get some pretty superb results with it as well.
Absolutely, because I've heard that, and same as well actually, because I always feel like I need more strength, because you're always going to be able to run, but if your body's not strong enough, it won't hold you up. So definitely more strength training, less running. But yeah, I believe the 3 days a
Yeah,
week of running, because even if you're power walking, that's why you end up seeing a lot of people when you have a weak core, you're kind of hunching over when you're running because
yeah,
you're fatigued as well. So definitely up to my strength training, because I've had a knee injury. I've fractured my fifth metatarsal. I've kind of had so many different injuries that I know strength is more important than running, even if I want to run longer.
yeah.
But yeah, no, definitely.
How hard was it to get through the marathon nursing that injury?
So for the Kildare,
Yeah.
so what I did, I dropped down to half marathon.
Okay.
And then I did a run walk right from
Yeah.
the beginning. And I also took my poles as well, just to try and take some of the pressure off my calf. I was the only runner with running poles. And I could see a lot of people were looking at me saying, oh my gosh, I wish I had that idea. And
Yeah.
it was, yeah, it was the best thing I could have done actually, taking the poles. So obviously, if I didn't need it, I just packed it up. But just using them was really helpful when I was running. But yeah, I'll drop down to a half marathon, because I'm just like, at least with a half marathon, I could still walk it if I needed to walk it all the way.
Mm,
But if it's a marathon, then it was just going to be way too long. But I would love
yeah.
to go back and do the marathon though, because the course is just amazing.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
using the poles is really bringing
I love it.
those ultra skills into
Yeah,
into marathon and
I
half
love it.
marathon
I
distances.
learned the hard way actually, because when I did race to the stones, I should have taken my poles. But what I used to do a few years ago, I said ultra, I was too lazy to carry them. So
Yeah,
I'm just like, I can't be bothered to faff around with the poles. I'm just going to leave it. And then I would just see people with poles walking with the poles, walking fast, like 3 times as quick as I was walking.
yeah,
And that was like the worst. I always remember that. I'm like, take your poles. Even if you don't use them, take them, because they actually weigh nothing. Even if I held it in my hand for 3 hours, you don't even notice it. So now I always make it, if it's on the trails, just take the poles.
mm,
If I'm not going to use it, you can leave it, but take it.
yeah,
You don't want
yeah.
to regret it.
Michelle and I did a 100K at the Isle of Wight Challenge,
Oh,
and we didn't have poles because we were really, again, road runners with a few trails
mhm.
going into a into an
Yeah.
ultra. But a friend of ours who sort of took us under his wing in the second half said, first of all, he said, right, we're halfway through, we're gonna walk march the rest. We won't run again.
Mm.
And then he got out these poles and started using the poles, and he just like I think he could have gone 2 or 3 times as quick. He was
Yeah,
yeah
right.
using the
Because
poles properly,
it literally, and yeah, I don't know. I just
and
couldn't believe how quick you walk with those poles.
yeah, and it was so interesting because we were like I say we were walking all the way, but walking quite quickly, and there were so many people who were running, getting gassed, and then sort of going and walking at I don't know 20, 22, 23 minute miles because they were out of it, and then they'd go run past us again, but
Right?
we'd just be walking past them. We're like, oh, this is crazy.
Absolutely. Yeah, because people are running, and now when I had my poles, and even when I'll walk, they'll run past me, and then I'll catch them on the hill. They were just like, huh? Like, how does it happen? But yeah, definitely take the poles.
Hmm.
Definitely worth it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And just on a general question, how has running sort of affected you in terms of, I suppose, life generally? Is it the sort of thing you use and find to be useful in your wider life?
Um, uh, uh, how do I even? The answer is yes. Um, because a lot of my job, I mean, actually, over the last few weeks, I've been saying that I'm mentally drained.
Yeah,
And that's not just with work. I just feel like sometimes it's just life. And it's just like you just feel like you're being pulled from pillar to post. Like this person wants you to do something, and the next person, then at home,
yeah,
I need to do this. And the only thing that actually keeps me kind of sane, or sometimes I say punching somebody in the mouth, is is working is working out. So it's like my route, like so my run and the gym. I
yeah,
just keep, no matter how, even if I wake up tired, go. Because if I can start off my day, I mean, like my day can't get any worse. That's why I do all my exercises in the morning as well. So
right,
it just kind of energizes me, and I start off like happy, those happy hormones, and just no matter how disruptive or life gets, it just keep moving. And I've got like a training plan. Even if I'm not training for anything, I've just made it a habit to go for a run, go to the gym, cycle, do yoga, because I just feel like that's my time, because the rest of my time is I'm being asked to do. If it's not work, then it's home, then it's my
yeah.
neighbor, then it's family. So that's literally just my time. So I just, yeah, I'll stick to it. You just like, and everybody knows now because I go like 4:30 in the morning or 5 o'clock. Yep, I'm going. I'm going to the
Mm,
gym. It's like, so those 2 hours is my time. So, and I think that's really helped me as well.
yeah,
Um, yeah, but yeah, I've definitely been feeling mentally like everything physically, like I could run for hours, but mentally just like, so even when I'm running with my friend, sometimes we don't even talk, but it just, we could just hear like each other's footsteps, you could hear the
yeah.
breathing, obviously playing the music, but it's just, yeah, just getting out, I think is really helpful.
Mm. I think the biggest the thing can be get that gets in the way is like thinking about how on earth am I going to find the time to do this? But generally, once you do, it makes everything else that little bit more palatable throughout the day and manageable. And yeah, it becomes
Absolutely, because it's like, because I always think, oh my gosh, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. Because if I leave it to the evening, then I've got to cook, I've got to do this, I've got to... But if I do it in the morning, there is nothing stopping me from getting my workout done in the morning. So if I
Mm.
do it early enough, then I could do my workout and then I could start my day job. And then the evening is also mine. So like the morning is my time, and then
Yeah.
also the evening. If I want to go to bed at 7 o'clock, then I'm going to bed at 7 o'clock. But yeah, I think movement has really, really helped over the last few years, and it's, I always encourage people. I mean, like you don't have to go out so early in the morning,
Mm.
but encourage even my team at work. It's just like go for a walk, take your lunch break. Obviously, I always encourage them to run. I did get a few of them to run a run through race,
Yeah.
but it's just like make sure you take your lunch break, because everybody, because we're just sat at our desk, just eating at the desk, working at the desk. It's just like take your lunch break. We're not saving lives. Do you know what I mean? The work will be there when you come back. Log
Mm.
off when you're supposed to log off. Go for a walk, get some fresh air, and because I think it's really important
Yeah.
having
And
that time for yourself.
I think that also slightly brings us full circle as well, because what we were talking about at the start in terms of safety and so on, and people being put off by not feeling safe by being women by being catcalled
Yeah.
and fearing that's takes away all of those benefits. You know, they don't have to be running; they could be going for a walk. But if they're even scared of going for a walk, the impact on society is far more and far greater than
Right.
the horrendous story you hear every 6 months, say, on the 10 o'clock news.
Hmm. Oh no, absolutely. And it's just, if you have, fortunately, I haven't been in that position where anything has happened or people shouted, or even if they did, I'll probably just block it out. I'm just one of those, I don't know, what is it, thick-skinned, or I don't know. But fortunately, nothing has happened to me when I've been out and about. But I would say to people, if it has happened to you or you are fearful, then find somebody to go out with,
Mm,
even if it's a neighbor, a friend, just arrange or run with a running club, a running group. I know it doesn't always work for people because it's always in the evenings. And obviously, if you've
yeah.
got childcare or you're working late, so you'll miss those opportunities. but there's always a way around it, I think. Speak to other people, send people messages, and just, or even just throw out the question on Instagram or Substack or LinkedIn, and just say, I've got this idea, I would like to do this. And there are running, is it Run Together, the website? There are a few websites, even at your
Yeah.
local park run, you can make friends there as well. And if it's
Yeah.
somebody that lives, often these people all live local anyway.
Yeah.
So you might find somebody that lives just 10 minutes down the road from you. So you can make a pact. Okay, on Wednesday evenings, we'll meet up and go for a walk. But yeah, definitely don't let incidents or things that you hear has happened to other people put you off, because at the end of the day, we can't
Mm.
just stay indoors. We
Mm.
we literally can't. And yeah, we just mentally, physically, emotionally, yeah, it's really important that you do find time for yourself outdoors, just for that fresh air. And it's an opportunity to make new friends and yeah, meet other people as well.
Yeah, definitely. Um, Before I let you go, Trina, I can't not talk about your Substack channel as well, because that's where we met.
Yes.
So yeah, tell people about where you are on Substack and what you write about there.
So on Substack, so it's trinaruns.substack, and I write about my training, events that I've attended, anything to do with women's safety. So I joined this Women's Night Safety Charter, where they work with businesses, organizations, communities in terms of keeping informed and stuff like that. So I attend free webinars. So anything that I've learned or I'm educating myself, and I try to share it as well so other people
Yeah.
can see. And it's not just for women, it's for anybody really.
Mm.
Um, just about keeping people informed. And I share my training, what's been great, what's been not so great, what's worked. I think, when was it? What's today? Monday. So a few days ago, I wrote about recovery, and
Yeah.
it's one of those things where we try to make time for. I'll finish my run. I literally just stretch for 5 minutes and that's done. But I noticed that actually spending time on it every day is making a difference. So I just kind of share little nuggets, things that's worked for me, and then also asking other people if they can share their tips and ideas as well. So just kind of sharing my journey, my routine, things I've learned along the way,
Mm.
and if it's helpful for people, then yeah, I'll keep doing it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Well, I certainly enjoy your blog on there for sure.
Thank
And
you.
I think one of the things that's quite good about Substack at the moment is maybe because it's one of the newer platforms and hasn't gone through some of the stages that other social media sites inevitably seem to reach, is that it's still quite a nice community on there and quite a good way to connect. And obviously, we were talking about ways to connect within the running community,
Definitely.
and I think that's another, isn't it?
Definitely. It's really great on there actually. I mean, I've only been on there a few months now because I was using a different domain, but
Mm.
I was like, where's this been all my life? And how have I mean, I've seen it, but I just never really read into it much. But it's a great way, and I've learned so much just reading reading your work, reading other people's work as well. And it's a great platform to stay informed, and it's so different to Instagram, which is, I use that platform as well, but not as much recently. But actually, I feel like I'm actually learning new things and
Yeah.
meaningful, useful, not just kind of swiping on videos and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a great platform.
Yeah, definitely. And just finally, for anybody out there who's thinking about getting out, having a run, getting involved, for women who might be a bit nervous but maybe need a push to get themselves out there, what would you say? Why is running such a great and important sport?
I think running is a great sport because you can just literally go out there, and I just feel like I can empty whatever is in my head. And it's also, it used to be a great tool when I would go out for a run. I used to plan lessons in my head as well.
Yeah.
I'll come back with some great ideas, and sometimes you feel like you solved life's problems, and sometimes you just need that time for yourself. And it can be a time where you actually think about nothing also.
Mm.
But it's just about just getting out there and just switching off from home, from work, from life, and just having that time, your time for yourself. Um, yeah, just for fresh. Fresh air does yeah, amazing stuff. But yeah, I'll say definitely go out there, whether it's on your own with a neighbor, and it doesn't have to be to run. Also, I always say, because people will say, "Oh, but I can't run."
Mm,
So I'm like, it doesn't have to be running. Walk,
yeah,
and often before you know it, walking turns into run walk, and then before you know it, you're running anyway. So but I'll just say, get out there, find some time, even if it's 30 minutes, and whether that's by yourself or with somebody else, just say, just go outside. Yeah, go
yeah.
outside.
No, definitely. That's a great message, and also I love the fact that people start off walking, they get into run walk, they end up running, then they do ultras, and they're back walking
Right,
again.
right.
It's the circle of running. Um,
With
yeah.
Pulse.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. So, Trina, thank you so much for joining me today, for talking about the really important issue of women's safety when running, and for telling us a little bit about your own running journey here on the Running Tales podcast. I massively appreciate it. So thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
folks. If you enjoyed Trina's story, please give us that like and subscribe, and go and check out all of the various groups and so on that we've spoken about today. I'll make sure that they're included in the show notes as well. So yeah, Trina, thank you so much, and everybody else. I'll see you next week for another episode of the Running Tales podcast.